You're listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe.
And 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe. And worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rick Schissler. I'm your host of the Weekly Business Hour. I want to thank you for taking time to join us today. I'm also a Silver Fox advisor and the founder of One Best Consult. This is the program that we present throughout Montgomery County, as well as the entire world now with the reach and breadth of the internet. This is where people come, particularly in Montgomery County, to talk about everything business, the latest in business news, business ideas, and particularly ideas to help you improve your business. Hopefully things that you might even be able to implement or start on today, in fact. So welcome to the Weekly Business Hour. I want to remind you that our show is not only on audio, but on video as well. You simply can join us on YouTube or Facebook by going to either one, look up the Weekly Business Hour and click so you can watch as well as listen. It's a lot of fun. Also, I'm very excited today. We have a new sponsor for the show. It's Keith Econo and Closing Strong. Keith and his organization are fantastic in the world and things they work on. I want to mention I've known Keith for several years. He's a CEO coach and business mentor, and his company, Closing Strong, is where they cater to you and the growth of your business. Keith works with owners and CEOs of privately held companies to help them use purpose, personal purpose, to make better decisions that result in having more fun and making more money. So I encourage you, if you're looking to have more fun or make more money or both in your business, reach out to Keith Econo and Closing Strong. Simply go to their website, www.closingstrong.com. And thank you, Keith, for being our sponsor, and we look forward to having you many, many more shows into the future. Well, today we have a very interesting guest, I believe. We're going to talk a little bit about marketing. That is the number one topic for small businesses everywhere I go, and has always been over the 35, 40 years of my career. It's always a marketing. How do I sell more? How do I provide more services? Where do I find customers, prospective customers, and on and on and on. But our guest today is Andy King. Andy's the founder of Pinpoint Marketing and the author of a fantastic book called Stop Selling Used Shoes Out of a VW Bust, which I think that's a wonderful topic. Andy, where in the world did you get that topic?
Well, Rick, thanks for having me here today. 30 years ago, I was just finishing up in business school, had an entrepreneur class, had a marketing class, and I thought I was ready to get out in the world and start making money. So there's these warehouses that have all these shoes, like when you return a pair of shoes at Bloomingdale's or Macy's, they can't resell them, they don't destroy them. So I would be one of these guys that would go in and buy their shoes. And we would buy them with the intent to actually resell them. So I went in, I bought $10,000 worth of used shoes, I built a bunch of shelves in a VW bus, and then essentially I went door to door selling these used shoes out of my VW bus. Mainly finding women at home during the day. I try to convince them to come out to my van so I could sell them used shoes out of a VW bus.
That had to be a hard sell to get them outside to go to your van.
Yeah, surprisingly, we were actually pretty successful in doing it, though this movie came along called Silence of the Lambs, which is about a guy that tries to get women out to his van, but he doesn't want to sell them his shoes. He wants to do something else. And so, but despite that, I did pretty well and actually made pretty good money. But what I started to realize, and this is really what the book is about, is I started riding this roller coaster of consistently inconsistent sales revenue. So one month I'd make $10,000, the next month I'd make $2,000, the next month I'd make $5,000, the next month I'd make $200. And it's what I contribute to the most deadly thing to business. I call it business kryptonite, because businesses cannot survive when their revenue is constantly riding this roller coaster.
Yeah, and quite a roller coaster in that description you gave. Is that the main message of the book that you want people to get is, look, you're not going to survive unless you can get your numbers within a tighter band, if you will?
Yeah, essentially. And then it's to help business owners to understand that they need to systematize their marketing. They can't just go out there on a daily basis and expect that knocking doors or hitting up people for their services is going to be consistent. They need to have processes involved, because once you get to a certain point where you've got 100, 200, 300 prospects, there's not enough willpower, not enough brain power, not enough hours in the day to remember all of who you need to stay in contact with. So it needs to be a set it and forget it type system.
Right. Well, that's the idea of systematizing and having processes is something I'm big on. And I work with my clients in operations side of the business of everything that they can put into a process or a system. Even if they're small and only have 1 or 2 employees, it makes a huge difference. Makes it easier to get things done, if nothing else, right?
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. In every process, when you think about it within a business, should have some sort of a system. The problem is with a lot of us that are business owners, we think, well, marketing is just marketing. We just need to kind of get our name out there, and magically more business will show up and we'll make more money. And that really isn't true.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me. Give us a little bit of your background. We know you sold shoes out of the bus. Anything else that would tell us how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I contribute to some of the insights that I have is I spent 10 years going door to door selling products, and probably sold 40 to 50 products door to door. And what that's allowed me to do is that very quickly I'm able to come up with content, or at least just a headline that will get somebody interested in something. In advertising, we call it a hook, to where they'll actually think, well, yeah, that's kind of interesting. Maybe I could use that. And so for 10 years going door to door, you learned very quickly you only had 7 seconds or less to keep somebody interested enough so where they wouldn't slam their door. And that's very, very applicable into small business, is that you have to come up with messaging that is interesting enough for the consumer to give you a few more minutes to actually explain what it is that you can do and how you can help them.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to develop a trait like that.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Out of all those years, and I have to ask this question, you've got 10 years of door-to-door selling. That's, I would assume, that's much more than the average person who does door-to-door selling. What is the main thing you took away from it, besides the ability to develop the hook, so to speak?
Yeah. So, yeah, very, very good question. Outside of learning how to craft messages, it really becomes a numbers game. So when I was most effective, and it took me a few years to learn this, I would tally up everything where I would knock on someone's door. So what I mean by that is I would have an NH, and I would put when I hit somebody's home and they weren't home, I'd put a hash mark. I'd have an NI for not interested, and I'd put a hash mark. S for sold, C for callback. And then it got to the point that I could be so consistent with my effort that I knew if I hit a certain number of homes, I would make a certain number of sales. And really, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to sales, it's learning what the consistency is going to be to it. And it's also learning to fail quickly. So a lot of the products, and when I say I sold 40, 50 products, most of those products that I sold, I only sold for maybe a week or two or a month at the most. Because once I realized I couldn't make really good money, I moved on to the next one. And so it is with businesses. They need to fail quickly in order to be able to succeed long term. So they need to figure out, hey, if this kind of marketing campaign is not going to work, I need to ditch it. I need to move on to the next thing.
Well, that's another great lesson to have learned, another trait to develop, and a great message, I believe, to business owners. In the book, you talk about storytelling, and I'm real big on telling the story, and that's become somewhat popular in the last 5 to 10 years. Why is that so important, though, for the small business owner to be able to tell their story?
Yeah. So it really comes down to that the biggest component to making a sale is empathy. Studies have shown, the research shows that as soon as the consumer understands that you understand their plight, their situation, they're ready to buy. And we call that empathy. So when we tell stories, what we're doing is we're telling a story that's most likely very similar to what their situation is. Now, we don't know that So we need to tell enough stories to where that they understand that we know what their plight's like. So we don't identify with statistics. We don't necessarily identify with numbers. Numbers can tell us some stuff, but that doesn't get to us on an emotional level. But stories do. I mean, that's the reason why we go to movies. We want to be told a story. That's why little kids want to be told a story before they go to bed. But it is probably the single most important thing that a business owner can do is to tell that type of a story. And if you have a series of stories, generally speaking, you can reach almost most of your target customers by telling those different stories. Not everybody's going to relate to the same story, so you need multiple stories.
Yeah, that's interesting. And the idea of using multiple stories, that's something I've never really talked to people about. First of all, it's hard to get people to develop their own story, so you understand who they are and you begin to empathize. But I like the idea of teaching people that you need multiple stories, right, depending on the audience.
Yeah.
That's interesting. How does one go about, though, and you talk about this in your book, to develop their own story? What do they need to do? If someone's listening today and they've not really developed their own business story, how do they go about doing so?
Well, there's actually some pretty good books out there. One of them is called Story Brand, written by Donald Miller. There's another one that is written by Brendan Bouchard. I believe it's called Millionaire Expert. And they talk about it, and they in their methodology, and I would agree with it. I mean, heavens, I consider them a whole lot smarter than me, so I'll defer to them on this. But you do an inventory of your life, and you look for experiences that are personal to you, of course, and you can see how you can relate those to your product or your service. And then also, too, sometimes you may not have to dig that deep, but you can actually look in terms of the fact of where you've helped other people by looking at those experiences where I've got Lisa, who before she got with me, she was experiencing this, and then we kind of helped her with this, and then here's the result. But it's very, very typical of that. You start off with a conflict, you come in with the solution, you show how the solution's been applied, and then here's the result to the solution. That gives the consumer an opportunity to put themselves in that story. That's what you're looking for. Personally, I like a lot of personal stories. I try to find stories, and I do use, especially when I do my seminars, I use a lot of self-deprecation. I make myself look like the dumbest person in the room. And the reason why is people can relate to that because they can say, I've kind of done something kind of similar to that, like selling used shoes out of a VW bus. Maybe this guy has kind of an answer to a problem I have.
Well, and I love that because if you're in a seminar situation, you're trying to teach, and you know that your audience, at least most of them, have been there, tried it, maybe not been successful.
Yeah.
So the idea that you can identify with them, very, very neat idea. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're to the end of our first segment of today's show. We're going to take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation with Andy and talking about marketing, a little bit about strategic marketing and some other concepts that I think would be beneficial to you if you're not involved with them now. So please stay with us, and we'll be right back with you.
It's all about business on the Weekly Business Hour every Monday at 11 a.m. on Lone Star Community Radio.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyperlocal audience in Montgomery County? Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out ourlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your questions. Get seen on TV, YouTube, and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Support your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
Health Center Southeast Texas is a federally qualified health center. We accept Medicare, Medicaid, and most major private insurances. For our self-pay patients, we have a sliding scale discount program available. Our health centers have qualified providers and staff striving every day to provide the best quality of care to our patients. Services offered are family medicine, behavioral health services, telepsychiatry, and pediatrics. We have 4 area locations. Look up the Health Center Southeast Texas online at hcset.com.
Hi, I'm Keith O'Connell, CEO coach and business mentor. I've spent 4 decades helping multiple entrepreneurs use my principles to take their businesses to the next level. My methods do not fix your problems, they help you fix them for yourself. I call this process closing strong. Contact me at 713-557-1639 or visit my website at closingstrong.com for a risk-free 30-minute meeting to see how I can help you. Because a business can only go as far as its leader can take it.
Listen in Mondays at noon to hear Conroe news from local nonprofits, businesses, upcoming events, Conroe Park events, news stories, and information that matters to you with your host, Margie Taylor of Taylorized PR. For more information about being a guest, visit irlonestar.com/Conroe Culture.
For business ideas and news you can use, join us on the Weekly Business Hour every Monday at 11 a.m. on Lone Star Community Radio.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You've been listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and I'm Rick Schissler. I'm your host, and we've been having a great conversation, I believe, with Andy King, the founder of Pinpoint Marketing. And before we start that conversation again, I want to mention to you that you can contact me at onebestconsult.com. That's the number 1bestconsult.com. If you have any suggestions, ideas, comments, criticisms about the show, or you just want to talk about business in general, reach out to me at the number 1bestconsult.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Well, Andy, when we took the break, we talked a little bit about your book and some of the things, particularly storytelling, which I think is a critical thing for every business to have a story for a lot of different reasons. Online marketing, though, I mean, obviously that's the elephant in the room for everybody for marketing these days. And I find a lot of small business owners are just overwhelmed. You know, should I be here? Should I be here? How do you do that? Do you outsource? Just lots and lots of questions. And unfortunately, a lot of them just get overwhelmed. And you know what happens when you get overwhelmed? You don't do anything. Kind of explain to people how they should approach that medium so they can get the most out of it for their business.
Right, and you're very right as far as it being overwhelming. You know, Google's an interesting thing. Search engines are an interesting thing. They've definitely evolved over the years. And what's difficult for people to wrap their minds around, it's kind of like going into the auto repair shop, and the first thing that they start telling you about is, well, first thing that we need to do is we need to replace your blinker fluid. And after we do the blinker fluid, we need to replace the flux capacitor. And then after the flux capacitor, we need to do this. And so if you're a fan of Back to the Future, it's the flux capacitor. It makes time travel possible. It's not a real thing. I'm joking, of course. But a lot of SEO, or should I say SEO guys, this is kind of the game that they kind of play. They talk in terms that are very difficult to understand, when the reality is it just comes down to building more content or more digital assets. And so when I say digital assets, what I'm referring to is video, blogs, just more content on your website. The more content that you have, the better off you're going to be positioned on Google.
Well, so it's all about content. Is that a true statement?
Yeah, it is true. Once the back-end coding of your website's been done, and when I say back-end coding, I'm talking about the meta description, meta title, the headline tags, and that stuff. And it's actually pretty standard right now. In fact, when a website's actually built in WordPress, you can actually pull in an SEO plugin, and if you don't know exactly how to fill all that stuff out, the plugin will actually pick it up naturally and do it. It may not be the best, but at least it's done. That piece is the piece that where most people get really confused. That's the piece where the auto mechanic is telling me, yeah, we need to replace your blinker fluid. There's no such thing. So that's the piece that where people kind of get tripped up. But once that piece is done on your website, it doesn't need to be redone. Keywords don't need to be switched out. In fact, right now, Google has gotten to the point where they're not interested in the keywords. They want to see if you have well-written content. When you consider programs like Grammatically or these programs that tell you how well you write your grammar, Google's able to do the same thing. And they figure if you can actually write intelligently about the subject that you're purporting that you sell, then you probably are a pretty good candidate for someone that's more of an authority on it.
Yeah, that's an interesting comment. I was not aware of that, but the SEO, in my opinion, you wake up every day and it changes. The
Yeah.
requirements, or you think, or you're being led to believe what you're saying,
Yeah.
that it's changed.
Yeah, it's kind of a touchy subject. My first impression, and when I started my agency 10 years ago, was that I was kind of around a group of guys who formerly owned Overstock.com. And if you remember, at one point, Overstock.com was bigger than eBay, was bigger than Amazon. I mean, they were huge. And these guys had sold out Overstock.com, got their millions of dollars, and they had a boiler room that was probably about 2,000 square feet, and all they had were college students that were actually posting, building backlinks, going onto Facebook, social media, and doing all this stuff to build up this website that talked about NordicTrack treadmills. And every time somebody clicked through on this website and went over to NordicTrack and bought one, they would get a $200 referral fee. Well, they were as successful as some months getting up to where they were getting $1,000 a month. So they're making $200,000 a month. But within 30, 60 days, Google would change their algorithm, and everything that they had done to that point not only didn't work, they were being penalized. So eventually they just said, enough. Even though they would make $200,000 about every 6 months, he said, we don't want to mess with this because this is just too much brain damage. And it was. I mean, you have to understand these guys were making millions of dollars. But there's no way to really trick the system, though a lot of SEO guys will tell you, I can get you number one Google, I can do this, I can do that. It's all untrue, and it's all been proven. In fact, to the extent that even Google and some of the information they disseminate isn't necessarily quite accurate. So without having to go into a lot of detail there, but I think you get the point.
Yeah, it's a game, and it's something I recommend to people outsource.
Yeah.
Bring in an expert, if nothing else, to help you develop your website and get your SEO squared around. Well, we're running out of time. I hate to say that, but marketing strategy, that's something that you emphasize that I think strategy is one of the keys, the unsung heroes of successful businesses. Talk a little bit with us about marketing strategy and why it is so important to the business.
Yeah. Well, overall, a lot of us get very caught up with our marketing strategy, especially when you start dealing with someone that wants everything perfect and wants to make it look beautiful, that the reality is this, that an inferior marketing message that is consistently disseminated will actually outperform a superior marketing message that is only disseminated periodically. So the key is consistency. The more consistent you are with your marketing message, the more the public, the consumer views you as being an expert. And that's really the crux of all marketing. Even if it's not perfect, even if there's typos, and I know, I'm a marketing guy saying that there's typos, the reality is so much of this often becomes an impediment to just getting it out there. It needs to get out there, and it needs to be seen.
Yeah, you and I are on absolutely the same page about getting your message out. Don't keep refining it or correcting it. Get something out, then revise and send out, and just keep pounding away at the message. Well, that is so important. One thing I want to be sure we took a minute or two to talk about, you have a seminar coming up.
Yeah.
And this is a great place, I would assume, based on what I've seen in your flyer and what you offer. Talk a little bit about that seminar and tell people here, particularly in Montgomery County, surrounding counties, why they should make the trip to come be a part of what you're doing.
You bet. So on March 6th at the Macaroni Grill here in the Woodlands, we're having a lunch and learn entitled Become the Undisputed Expert in Your Industry. So we're going to go in there and we're going to talk about the benefits of becoming that expert. And what I'm talking about really is the perception. I'm not out there making somebody an expert in roofing because I don't know roofing, but I can help them with their marketing message so that they're perceived as the expert in their industry. And there's two main advantages to becoming the expert. One, you're able to charge a premium. You're able to charge more money for your product and service. And number two, you experience less brain damage. One of the things that all of us experience as when we offer services or even with a product is that we just don't want that customer that's second guessing us on what we're telling them in terms of how it needs to be. So that's a huge part of being the expert. So it is by far the highest level of all competitive advantages. The best way to differentiate yourself from your competition is being viewed as the expert. So we've got limited seats available. If you go to becometheexpert.eventbrite.com, that's becometheexpert.eventbrite.com, I believe we've got about eight seats left. So we should have a group of about 35, 40 people at that event. It is free, and you will get lunch.
And when is that exactly?
March 6th, from 11:30 to 1 o'clock.
At the Macaroni Grill in the Woodlands.
Yep.
I would encourage people, take a little bit of time out, have some lunch. I know most of us in small business feel like we're busy all the time, and I get it. I've been there, done it more than once. But come work on your marketing a little bit, right? Good thing to do. Well, Andy, we basically have run out of time now, but I would like you to leave us with contact information. Where can people reach out to contact you if they've got questions about the event, your book? Where do they go?
Right. So you can email me. It's a long email, but it's Andy@pinpointmarketingsolutions.com. That's Andy@pinpointmarketingsolutions. There's an S on solutions.com. Or you can call us at 832-819-3990, 832-819-3990. If you want to speak to me, you got to hit extension number 5.
Well, Andy, I can't thank you enough for joining us. I really appreciate it. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you'll plan to stay with us. I think we've got the second half of the show today. We've got a lot of great things coming up. In the Did You Know series, I'll talk about how you can get your clients to pay faster so you increase your cash flow. That's a pretty popular topic, but I got a couple new ideas I came across. And my one best consult tip of the week, don't just promise to set goals, do it now. And I'm going to give you some real solid reasons for setting those goals that you put off. But before we get to all that, I'm going to respond to a listener who heard the program last week and talking about how to use email templates as your thank you notes. So please stay with us and we'll be right back with you.
It's all about business on the Weekly Business Hour every Monday at 11 a.m. on Lone Star Community Radio.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? The Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your question. Get seen on TV or YouTube and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Sponsor your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
Hi, I'm Keith O'Connell, CEO, coach, and business mentor. I've spent 4 decades helping multiple entrepreneurs use my principles to take their businesses to the next level. My methods do not fix your problems, they help you fix them for yourself. I call this process closing strong. Contact me at 713-557-1639 or visit my website at closingstrong.com for a risk-free 30-minute meeting to see how I can help you. Because a business can only go as far as its leader can take it.
For those of you who like your partners, your gumbo, and your music salty, well, we're here to help with the music. Julian Shea here, host of Lone Star Country Nights Thursday, your weekly dose of roots and Americana and all the music that makes this part of the country special. We stir in Western swing, honky-tonk, Zydeco, Texas blues, outlaw country, and put a pinch of red dirt, and then we smoke it over a slow fire. Then listen to the results Thursday nights on Conroe's 104.5 and 106.1 and worldwide at irlonestar.com.
What is homelessness? Have you seen parents struggle to find a job without having transportation or childcare? What about the children sleeping in cars with nothing to eat? Families shouldn't have to struggle to survive, and children should not be homeless. Family Promise of Montgomery County serves the needs of homeless families and their children. Learn about ways you can help and learn about partnership opportunities at www.familypromiseofmc.org or call our day center at 936-441-8778.
Hey guys, this is Connor.
This is Dick.
This is Chris.
And we're with the Ticket Stub Podcast every Thursday live at noon on 104.5 and 106.1 FM in the Conroe area. Also, anytime at irlonestar.com. You go to irlonestar.com/TTS. You can find all of our social media.
And don't forget, we give away 2 tickets to the Grand Theater on every show. If you like movies and you like complaining or celebrating anything that has to do with the silver screen, check out the Ticket Stub Podcast and join us every Thursday at noon o'clock on Lone Star Community
Not sure
Radio.
who to turn to when you have a problem in your business? Listen to the Weekly Business Hour on Lone Star Community Radio.
You are listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and this is Rick Schissler. I'm your host. I'm a Silver Fox advisor, as well as the founder of the website onebestconsult.com. Well, I hope you enjoyed our visit with Andy King at Pinpoint Marketing. Again, marketing is something we talk about a lot in the business world. I get a lot of questions about it. We try to bring people to the show that can give you some tips and ideas that you can use in your business. And I think our visit with Andy today hopefully got you a little bit excited or interested in perhaps, if nothing else, tweaking your marketing. But before we go further, I want to thank again our sponsor for the show. Our sponsor today is Closing Strong with Keith O'Connell. Keith is a CEO, coach, and business mentor, and his company, Closing Strong, is where they cater to you and the growth of your business. He's an executive coach who has spent 4 decades, about as much time as I have in the business world, helping multiple entrepreneurs use the same principles to take their businesses to the next level. His philosophy is, and I really, really like this, it is really not about me because I'm not going to fix your business. I'm going to help you fix your business yourself. And I think that's a wonderful philosophy and really the truth of how you truly, truly help people build their businesses stronger and help them grow to new levels they may not have even thought were possible. I've known Keith for several years, and I can tell you he has the experience and the background to help guide your business to the next level. I encourage you, if you want to grow your business, you've got business questions, challenges, and you are seeking a mentor, a coach, advisor, reach out to Keith O'Connell. You can find him at www.closingstrong.com. That's www.closingstrong.com. Well, as I mentioned before the break, what I'd like to do is respond. I got an email as a result of our discussion last week in our replay and the week before live using emails to thank people. And we talked about in that program how important it is to thank people. But one of the things I touched on is the use of a template, because people say, well, thank you notes back before email. To sit down and write those, that was just the Achilles heel for so many people, so many business people. And yet those who do it and did it, I've seen it work. It is amazing what it brings to the business to just say thank you. But the email from Bill W. Went a little further. And what Bill asked is, when you talked about using emails to say thank you, you briefly touched on the use of templates. Could you tell me more by giving some examples? And it was, I just briefly mentioned the idea of templates, because the idea of a template is that you have it available. So you just pull it out of the folder on your computer or pull it out of the manila folder on your desk if you're going to handwrite. But more importantly, using email, it's just so much simpler. Pull up this template. It says all the right things. You took the time to write it, and then you insert the key information or anything that's different in the particular thank you. And where I encourage people to use email templates are the basic thank you note. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for using our services. If you've done some type of seminar or event, spoke at a group, a follow-up to that event, saying thanks for coming by, thank you for attending, another simple thing. If you have a thank you card with a coupon, say, many times I've seen these effectively used with businesses where we thank someone for doing business. I got one today myself on some medical cream that I bought to help me with the situation I have on my skin, and attached to the jar itself was a thank you that offered me 20% off on my next purchase. And this is a nice way, easy way to build up repetitive business. I think it's very important that we thank people for doing business with us. And these are the kind of subjects where you can build up templates. If you've got several products or several services, you can have several templates that are already made. So you just put in the name, rank, serial number so it goes to the right person. I encourage you to look for templates that perhaps have been done by others. There's a great array of these at Constant Contact. They're kind of an email provider. Not kind of, they are an email company that helps you build emails and helps you send them out. Very, very easy to use, but they've got some great template ideas because you want to have some graphics. You want to have things that not only read well, but they look good, that they're pleasing, that someone will take 10, 15, 20 seconds, maybe longer, hopefully, right? And look at. And the last thing on this, I want to make sure, Bill, that you put a link in there. If you're going to use email, you need to put a link back to your website, back to some special landing page where you've got this great offer, again, to try to encourage people into repeat business or the initial business that you hope to get for them so they become a customer. So email thank yous, a great thing to do. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'm going to talk to you about my Did You Know for the week. Did you know that there are ways to collect your money faster that you might not have heard about, might not be using? So I'm going to offer you several things that are small, but they're important and they're easy to do, hopefully to improve your cash flow. So please stay with us. We'll be right back with you.
It's all business talk on the Weekly Business Hour every Monday at 11 a.m. right here on Lone Star Community Radio.
An estimated 1 in 10 births will result in a neonatal intensive care stay, also known as the NICU. Overnight, a family can find themselves and their newborn baby in a critical situation. The Mila Foundation financially and spiritually assists families in need. If you would like to volunteer or become a monthly sponsor, please visit us at www.themilafoundation.org. Again, that's www.themilafoundation.org, because every life matters.
Hi, I'm Keith O'Connell, CEO, coach, and business mentor. I've spent 4 decades helping multiple entrepreneurs use my principles to take their businesses to the next level. My methods do not fix your problems, they help you fix them for yourself. I call this process closing strong. Contact me at 713-557-1639 or visit my website at closingstrong.com for a risk-free 30-minute meeting to see how I can help you. Because a business can only go as far as its leader can take it.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show with monthly and weekly slots available in Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
This is Rick, TRC. Every Tuesday on my show, Afternoons with Lone Star from 3 to 7, I play back-to-back classic rock hits. That's right. I like to call it a 2 for Tuesday or a 3 for whatever it is you'd like. Call the request line, 936-647-3776, or message me on Facebook, Afternoons with Lone Star, make a music request. That's right, you can do it. Here's what else. Go over to our website, irlonestar.com. Get the app on your phone. It's easy. You'll like it.
Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show with monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776.
Hey, y'all. It's DJ Mike from Dan Simon, Texas. Join me Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. as I count down the top 10 Texas Red Dirt songs that are packing the dance floor. I'll be featuring local artists and the story behind the hits, shows in the area, as well as new songs that make you want to dance. It's Dance Time in Texas with DJ Mike on Lone Star Community Radio, 104.5 KCZW and 106.1 KZCC, Conroe, Texas, or online, irlonestar.com.
It's all about business on the Weekly Business Hour every Monday at 11 a.m. on Lone Star Community Radio.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Weekly Business Hour, and I'm Rick Schissler, your host, and appreciate you joining us today. And before we get into the Did You Know, I want to mention to you that the video cast of today's show will be available in a couple days, Wednesday. You can find it all over social media. I encourage you to go if you'd like to watch as well as listen. Go back to YouTube, check the Weekly Business Hour channel, go to Facebook, the Weekly Business Hour page, and you can click on and watch the show in its entirety or pick up the parts that perhaps you missed. And most of all, I encourage you, if you will, share it. Did you know there are some ways to get your payments made quicker in order to keep your cash flow where it needs to be or improve it? I find this subject in general is one of the real challenges for most small businesses that sell on terms. Today, a lot of people are using electronic payment, whether it be credit card or debit card and things like PayPal and other services, and I think that's a great thing. If you've got a monthly service to use the ACH offered in the banking system, I think it's a great thing, because if you're offering repetitive services month in and month out, it's a great way to get paid. But there are several other little things I think that people miss. The first is being consistent. In other words, set up a policy, a process, if you will, for how you want to get paid and what steps take place from the time the invoice is created. And there are a few things you can do there to make sure that it gets processed quicker by your client, by your customer. But the key is having consistency, whether you do the collections yourself or you have someone that you delegated in your business. Make sure you have a written process so that, one, you've thought through it yourself, you've checked outside resources, whether it's reading, attending a seminar, or looking at a webinar online, however it is, but you develop your own process. Step one, step two, invoice goes out, invoice looks like this. Give yourself a chance to think through all aspects, not just dialing the phone or sending the past due letters, the entire process. That will help you. If you adhere to that process, will help you collect your money faster than you're currently doing it. Another way that really people, I think, kind of gloss over, and that is accepting multiple ways of payment. In other words, the ACH for repetitive services, the credit cards, the PayPal type payments, checks, money orders. Don't just limit yourself. And I see small, particularly very small businesses, that don't limit the way you accept payments. You know, people will tell me, well, the credit card company takes 3%, and I don't, this and that. The key is getting paid, and I think you need to consider that, even if you have to bump your price a little bit in order to cover your cost of the ones who use the credit cards. But reality is we're headed for an environment where I believe electronic payments will be perhaps the only method of payment, maybe not, but they are slowly but surely becoming the desired or the preferred way of payment, and you need to prepare for that. But make sure in the meantime, accept multiple ways of payment. The other thing that I want to mention to you that you may not be doing is manage your client relationship. You don't want to find yourself spending hours and hours collecting your money, because assuming you've already done the work. You've already built the product, you've already delivered it, you've done the service, and now you're saying, well, why is it fair that I've got to spend all this time collecting work? I contend that if you do the work up front, when you accept business and you do business with people and you work to maintain that relationship, because collections is only one part of that relationships, but let me assure you, I pay people quick, personally, if I have, one, a good relationship with them, two, want to maintain that good relationship in case I need a favor, in case I need something real quick, and three, the idea that the best relationships are what we call our A clients, the one who buys our products, uses our services on a regular basis, and pays on time. It's a two-part formula. And if people don't pay on time, then you don't have a good relationship with that client or customer. Well, I hope those tips help you in our Did You Know? We're going to take our final break of the day. And when we come back, I am going to give you my Silver Fox and One Best Consult tip of the week. Don't just promise to set goals, do it now. So please stay with us. We'll be right back with you. The Weekly Business Hour every month.
You can use, join us on the Weekly Business Hour every Monday at 11 a.m. on Lone Star Community Radio.
Hi, I'm Keith O'Connell, CEO, coach, and business mentor. I've spent 4 decades helping multiple entrepreneurs use my principles to take their businesses to the next level. My methods do not fix your problems, they help you fix them for yourself. I call this process Closing Strong. Contact me at 713-557-1639 or visit my website at closingstrong.com for a risk-free 30-minute meeting to see how I can help you. Because a business can only go as far as its leader can take it.
Statistics show that 1 out of every 6 Texans struggles with food insecurity and hunger. And many people don't eat enough fruits and vegetables every day. The Better Living for Texans program is here to help you learn how to make healthy menu choices, save money at the grocery store, prepare quick and delicious meals, get more good nutrition in your day, and get more physical activity. Classes are fun, friendly, interactive, and free, and taught in English and Spanish. We are Texas A&M AgriLife Extension, helping Texans make their lives better.
It's all business talk on the Weekly Business Hour every Monday at 11 a.m. right here on Lone Star Community Radio.
You are listening to the Weekly Business Hour. This is Rick Schissler, your host, and we're to the final segment of today's show. That's where I give my One Best Consult tip of the week. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But I want to let you know that if you're a local business, meaning in the Montgomery County, Texas area, and you would like to sponsor this program, or even if you're someone far away and you are listening to the program, as we have listeners literally around the world on the internet, and you sell products that get shipped all over the world, then you may want to consider being a sponsor of the program. It's an easy thing to do. I think it's extremely cost effective. But if you'd like to consider being a sponsor, I encourage you, reach out for me. Just send me a quick email at that's the number 1, bestconsult@gmail.com. That's onebestconsult@gmail.com. Well, now let's move on to our Best Consult tip of the week. Don't just promise to set goals, do it now. Goal setting's difficult, right? For most of the listeners, I assume there's a little bit of a challenge in setting any kind of goals, whether it be putting together an annual budget, annual business plan, a marketing strategy, a marketing plan. Any of these are simply setting goals. They're trying to determine, for you to determine, either on your own or with the team that works with you, an outside consultant perhaps, or some of the professionals, accountant, lawyers that work for you, to put together really what amounts to goals for you and your business. Very difficult to do. First, I advocate strongly, set what they call SMART goals. That's S-M-A-R-T, SMART, easy to remember. S is for specific. Set specific goals. Define exactly what the goal is. That way you understand it, and most importantly, the people around you, the people that are going to help you execute your plan to reach your goal, are going to understand it. That could include vendors, employees, management, supervisors, and even certain customers if you bring them in and let them be aware of what your goals are. This happens, believe it or not, in some businesses. Second is measurable, SM, measurable. The goal needs to be measurable. How are you going to know if you got there or not unless you can measure it? And achievable. I suffer here because I'll set goals that I can't realistically meet if I'm honest with myself. So make sure that your goals are realistic. Also, the SMA, relevant, R, relevant. How does it relate to your business? Make sure the goal's on point. Make sure the goal's taking you where you want to go with the business. Very, very important. I have seen businesses where the goals of the business take them in a direction that doesn't fit with them personally. It's something that's overlooked today, but make sure your goals are relevant to the business you have and where you want to go. And finally, the T in SMART, time sensitive. Make sure that you know what the target dates are and make sure that's clear to everyone else. Some of the issues that come up, and the reason that it's so important for people to get off of it, get out of that chair, if you will, in a nice way of saying it, and set these goals, is because if we don't, then the business doesn't really have a direction. But you can set 1 or 2 goals. Say you have no time, you believe, to do a business plan or anything formal like that. But set 1 or 2, 3 goals. They could be annual, they could be weekly, it could be monthly. Usually we kind of do a roll-up. Weekly to monthly takes us to the annual. So we make sure that there's a connection as we go through this. And it could be 1 goal a week, some change, some improvement in your business, monthly, quarterly, annually. But again, set the goals, and several things to be careful of. Don't set your sights too high. Don't try to change too many things at one time, particularly if they involve your own behavior. In other words, habits. Don't try to make too much change too quick. It's a huge mistake unless the barn's on fire and you need to get the stock out. That happens sometimes, unfortunately, in business. Very, very difficult to recover from. So when you set your goals, don't set them too high. Don't be vague. Don't back up when you're setting goals and think, well, do I really want to commit to this? Commit and make it happen. And don't see failure as a path to success. You need to have goals that will bring success to you and your business, and make sure you understand that. Doesn't mean you can't learn from failure, but you don't want to have goals that are based on failure. Well, that's the end of today's show. I want to thank you for joining us, and I encourage you, please put a note on your calendar to join us again next Monday right here on irlonestar.com at 11 a.m. Very special guest, Linda Ballesteros of Empower Franchise Consulting will be with us, and we'll be talking about starting a business. Doesn't have to be complicated, because Linda will tell us how they make it easy at Empower Franchise Consulting. Remember, you and your company can be a sponsor. Reach out to me at onebestconsult@gmail.com. Podcast of the show, the Weekly Business Hour, all over social media for you. If you can't find it there, come to my website at onebestconsult.com. And again, thank you for joining us. And to stay in touch with what's happening in Montgomery County, stay tuned right here at Lone Star Community Radio. And until next week, stay engaged and keep your focus on what's important in your business. Thanks.
Today's show was recorded and broadcasted live on irlonestar.com, Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and all rights and ownership are reserved to Lone Star Community Radio. For more information regarding this program and Lone Star Community Radio, visit us online at irlonestar.com. Lone Star Community Radio is Montgomery County's community radio station, serving the community with local programming on TV, radio, and online. If you enjoyed today's program, please support us by sponsorship or starting your own show. Contact us today by phone or text at 936-666-1084 or email the station at lscrstudios@gmail.com.